What's good, man? What's good, man? It's your host with the most, Jalen Stevens, aka Gilly the Truth, aka I get it in. Content, Mr. Content over controversy, man. Always bringing you something that can feed your brain, man. Not something that can feed your ego or feed your lower self, man. Cause we not on that, man. I don't got no drama for you. If you want some drama, say that for your mama, man. Cause we ain't got time for that shit right now, bro. But man, we gonna get into some shit, man. But right now, man, I just wanna play one of my old videos. It's gonna tie into what I'm talking about today, man. So y'all tune in, man, and enjoy.
On Secretary of State Marco Rubio's whirlwind tour of Latin America, a potentially unprecedented offer from the president of El Salvador.
He has agreed to accept for deportation any illegal alien in the United States who is a criminal from any nationality, be they MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, and house them in his jails.
President Nayib Bukele revealing more in a post on X, offering the U.S., quote, the opportunity to outsource part of its prison system in exchange for a fee. And it's not just for people who are in the U.S. illegally.
He has offered to house in his jails dangerous American criminals in custody in our country, including those of U.S. citizenship and legal residence. No country's ever made an offer of friendship such as this.
But that offer, Biden called prison conditions in the country harsh and life-threatening. But President Trump tonight doubling down on his willingness to consider the offer.
It's no different than a prison system, except it would be a lot less expensive, and it would be a great deterrent. Send them to other countries.
This Trump, bro. Like I say, I'm not surprised, but it's like the audacity of the 34-time convicted felon. Oh, it was a hoax. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the justice system could be so up and corrupt towards Trump, why don't we think about that toward the people that's locked up now? Oh, those people are murderers. Those people are this, that, and the third. I just can't. I can't with you people, man. You know what I'm saying? 50% of the murders unsolved in this country. You know what I'm saying? I bet you'll say it's because talking, ain't telling the police what's going on in the streets. All right, man, and white people is, man. Like, and what's so sad about it is that white people love thug culture, thug behavior, because that's what you elected. That's what you elected, man. At the end of the day, you elected a thug in chief, like Jasmine Crockett said, man. Y'all elected a thug in chief, and y'all cool with that. Y'all cool with that. Long as it wasn't, man. Yeah, man, I was cussing a lot. Lord forbid we had the promiscuity of supposed Kamala Harris, or the incompetency of supposed Kamala Harris. Yeah, we're cool with all that when Trump do it. You know what I'm saying? The incompetency. The man really believes that he can control Greenland whenever he wants. He could just make another state whenever he wants to. He can send Americans in jail in another country whenever he wants to.
What President Trump said yesterday is an acknowledgement of the following. Gaza has been severely damaged. If you look at the aerial imagery, you see what's happening. The billions of dollars that are going to be required for reconstruction are enormous. Some areas have been rendered unlivable now and for the foreseeable future. And so what President Trump announced yesterday is the offer, the willingness of the United States to become responsible for the reconstruction of that area. And while you are rebuilding, while you're clearing debris, by the way, there are unexploded munitions. There are all kinds of Hamas weaponry still buried underground. For people to be able to live in a place safely, all of that has to be removed. It's an enormous undertaking. And the only thing President Trump has done very generously, in my view, is offer the United States willingness to step in, clear the debris, clean the place up from all the destruction that's on the ground, clean it up of all these unexploded munitions. And in the meantime, the people living there will not be able, the people who call that home will not be able to live there while you have crews coming in and removing debris, while you have munitions being removed, et cetera.
And all this spinning they doing to try to make Trump's words more palatable to the American people, but they gonna get dizzy as hell. Trump wouldn't use words like take over, use words like turn over, use words like control if he wanted to just help Gaza. But again, this is not even a America first problem, is it? And in a bold move, Trump decides to impose sanctions on the International Criminal Court over investigations of Israel. But Israel is not alone, are they?
So did y'all know that the U.S. was found guilty for...
This is complete arrogance. Nothing will be done to hold Israel or Trump accountable until we have people competent enough in these UN, in these international courts to hold America accountable for the that they do and they allow. Look at this. This is 70% of their land destroyed. So what? America can rebuild some resorts on the Gaza Strip? No, I wasn't lying, man. Trump really on that, man. And the sad part about it is that he thinks he's completely justified. And what's even crazier is that people justify this every day, even though their own privacy is being violated in the process. But as long as we got rid of that DEI, right? But I think this time right now really compares to a time back in the day where corruption was at an all-time high. And man, those robber barons got us for everything we was worth.
The developing tech space is drawing parallels in the minds of some to the Gilded Age. That term, Gilded Age, coined by Mark Twain in a very famous novel, it refers to a period of time from the late 19th to early 20th century where the United States saw, among other things, rapid industrialization, economic growth, and those things intertwined with political corruption and wealth inequality. H.W. Brands joins me now. He is a historian and author of several books, including a great one, American Colossus, The Triumph of Capitalism, 1865 to 1900. Bill, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Is this a second Gilded Age in American history?
It is a second Gilded Age. There are a lot of similarities. So there's rapidly changing technology. There's a growth in wealth inequality and the emergence of a class of extremely rich people. There are some differences, though. And the differences reflect a couple of things. One is that the government of the United States is very much larger today than it was back then. So there was very much less interest on the part of the oligarchs of the day to lobby government. They weren't looking for government contracts the way the oligarchs today are. And political influence was concentrated in Congress then rather than in the executive. So there was nothing like what we saw on Inauguration Day, where there are several of the wealthiest men in America lined up right behind the president while he's taking his...
See, back then, man, you had to lobby the lawmakers, man, to make sure that certain regulations wouldn't, you know what I'm saying, interfere with good old business, man. But now, the executive branch, you know what I'm saying, and executive orders have taken damn near president over, you know what I'm saying, actual law. All of it is considered law to American people. If Trump says you can no longer come outside your house after 10 o'clock, that's word for a lot of people, bro. Some people gonna be like, well, I don't have to. Yeah, I ain't worried about it. I'm gonna come outside after 10 o'clock anyway. You know what I'm saying? So this shit is definitely different, but the similarities are too alike to not look at the comparisons. Because you not only do you have the racial tension, even though it's not as strong as it was in the Gilded Age, because the racial nadir, you know what I'm saying, was another, or what they call the you know what I'm saying, the nadir, the great nadir, or whatever it was. I forgot what it's called. I'm gonna explain it later on in this video that I'm showing now. But that was also a time of high racial tensions and high racial violence, man. And you know what I'm saying? A lot of people was justified by the fact that black people are criminal, black people commit all these crimes, black people are a nuisance to society. The same arguments we hearing today. Same bullshit. There was also the nativism movement, you know what I'm saying? Even though that was also a little bit more the 20s, but it kind of started around in the 1890s, man, when you started blaming immigrants for shit, you know what I'm saying? The Chinese Exclusion Acts, you know what I'm saying, were passed. One of the first laws to exclude a whole ethnic or racial group. You know what I'm saying? Chinese Exclusion Act. And that was in the 1870s, 1880s, somewhere in that range. So these things are always draw parallels. And I think the reason why we continue to see these type of things happen, attacks on immigrants, attacks on minorities, attacks on other different marginalized groups, is that what you want to call it, is because we don't pay attention to the past and see how these things only did was divide more of the nation. But they want to tell a nigga like me that even pointing out the problem is a division. Hold on, man. Why are you talking about this stuff? It's so long in the past and stuff, man. Like, we don't have to keep talking about these things. Come on. We're in a post-racial. We voted for Obama. There at our part, he was a terrible president. I mean, I've heard all the arguments before, man. But you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I'm just down to just point out what the parallels are. You call it what you want to call it. I'm gonna call it racism. I'm gonna call it hate. I'm gonna call it bigotry. It is what it is, man. I'm welcome anybody to come up and we can talk about it, man. For sure. But let's continue.
His inaugural oath. There was nothing like that. If anything, they would have focused their efforts on the Senate, especially, and the House of Representatives.
Peeping and watching me, but don't want
I want to play you.
hit my light.
Well, if this Gilded Age is going to be anything like the last Gilded Age, massive corruption and wealth gap disparities are just going to happen at a rate that we're not going to even imagine. And the racial tensions, oh man. See, not only did this time create tycoons such as Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, Vanderbilt, J.P. Morgan, but there was also something coinciding with this time that a lot of people try to erase over and forget, and that was the Great Nadir, or the nadir of race relations, or what we know it here in America as the beginning of the Jim Crow South. Though black codes go back as early as 1724 with the Christian black codes, they became very influential during the time right after Reconstruction, all the way up until the 1940s. Though we'll never truly know how many lynchings happened in the beginning of the Gilded Age and Jim Crow era, we do know that the worst was yet to come. And probably the worst was actually during progressive era politics. And that's why I'll forever say that Woodrow Wilson is still probably one of the worst presidents we ever had. Even worse than Reagan or Nixon or Trump. And today it's not much different. Right now, we have Trump, Vance, and Musk all agreeing that racism is okay as long as you get our Pacific agenda accomplished.
My bad. Damn, I've been muted all that time, man. But yeah, man. So as you can see, bro, like I pointed a lot to Doge because Doge was doing the most egregious shit at the time I was making these videos. And as we can see, they were hiding the fact of what they did and their disposition and shit. That kind of went viral, I heard. I didn't ever get to see the video, so we gonna definitely talk about that a little bit and show some videos to that. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull up an article talking about this Doge and what exactly, you know what I'm saying? Let's see what's going on with that, man. So, you know what I'm saying? It's really crazy, man. The shit is crazy with the Doge situation because, you know what I'm saying? They pretty much admitted that they targeted education, community programs, and just called it DEI, bro. A lot of that shit didn't have nothing to do with black people, didn't have nothing to do with diversity, equity, inclusion in any way, shape, or form. But because they had some words, it might speak about diversity in some of its goals and shit like that. All of a sudden, it's exited out of the out of funding by some teenagers, pretty much. These niggas is they ain't that far removed from 10. They're like 24 and like 22 years old. Some young bulls, man. Most of y'all people out there wouldn't trust a 22-year-old to do anything for you. Still bag some fries or some shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Unless it was somebody older around. Just saying, dog. But we gonna sit here and play these games with Doge. So shit, man, we finna pop this shit on up, man, real quick, dog, and we gonna talk about how Doge is out here playing games, nigga, and then we gonna go find some videos talking about it, man. And then we gonna point back to the past and where people could carve out a room for their democracy through different, you know what I'm saying, avenues, whether it be not in this type of way, you know what I'm saying, because Doge is definitely something very brand new to the game. But at the same time, man, we've been had people, you know what I'm saying, manipulating policy through whether it be money or, you know what I'm saying, some type of influence. And I definitely think, you know what I'm saying, even what we've been finding out with the Epstein shit, that hell, Israel been manipulating and influencing us for the longest. Like this shit is, you know what I'm saying, crucial. Nobody wants to really address and deal with these things because it hurts their favorite president, the favorite president of the United States, the one that they love, man, so much. But let's get on this Doge, man, because this shit is amazing. Doge Bros exposed. Dispositions from Elon Musk's team reveal ChatGPT process for gutting DEI grants. 10-hour testimony uncovers their largely ununiform judgments behind sweeping decisions for grant funding. What they gonna give us a video?
Why would you do that?
Hold on, my bad. That's how they get you, nigga.
How do you interpret DEI? there was the EO explicitly laid out the details. I don't remember it off the top of my head.
It's okay. I'm asking for your understanding of it.
Yeah, my understanding was exactly what was written in the EO.
Okay. So can you?
I don't remember what was
he
in the
don't
EO.
remember.
So right now, do you have an understanding
How
of
you
what
gonna have
DEI is?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your understanding as you sit here today in this deposition?
Well, it was exactly what was written in the EO. And so anytime that we would look at a grant through the lens of complying with an executive order, we would just refer back to the EO and assess if this grant had relation to it.
Okay. But I guess I'm stepping back from your methodology strictly in terminating the grants. Do you have an understanding as you sit here today of what DEI means?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your understanding of what it means?
Well, it is exactly what was written in the EO.
That he can't repeat for something. Did you read the EO? Did you read the EO, my nigga? Like, honestly. Did he read whatever the fuck it is he's talking about? Because, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, come on, brother. They asking you. You said you know what DEI is. Just define it. Even if you want to go with the old redneck version of what DEI is or what these motherfuckers gonna say it is on the internet and shit. Just say what the fucking definition is, man. You got a motherfucker that don't know what the fuck. He's trying his best not to say shit that we give to black people and minorities and women and gays or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Some shit just give us a simplistic answer, man, that you feel like it is. Even though it's just anti-discrimination, man. That's all it is. It's ways to prevent anti-discrimination in selective and a hiring pool. You have to look at all viable candidates. That's mostly what DEI is. It's not even a guarantee of being hired. It's just an opportunity to be looked at. That shit that Thomas Sowell and the motherfuckers always talk about, man, equal opportunity. That's what I'm all about. What y'all motherfuckers ain't about that shit now? Shit crazy. Shit fucking crazy, man. But, man, let's continue, man. Listen to this man, dog.
Okay, so, and I don't have the EO in front of me, but that was, we would always reference back to the EO and make sure that this grant was in compliance with the EO.
I understand that. Okay, but I'm not asking necessarily about what was in the EO. I'm asking very specifically about your present understanding of what of DEI. Do you have a present understanding of DEI?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you explain what that present understanding is?
Well, it's just easier for me to be referencing back to the EO.
Are you refusing to answer the question?
I'm not refusing to answer the question.
Okay.
I just feel that referencing back to the verbatim executive order was the.
You would think if he had to reference this EO and talk about this EO in order to define something, that it would be important to bring it to a disposition. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. Am I tripping? But let's continue, man.
Best way for us to capture all of the DEI language. And so I think giving a high level overview of what I could relay as DEI is not going to do justice what was written in the EO.
And that's okay. We can look at the EO as well.
Great.
I'm asking you this is a deposition. I'm asking you questions. You're under oath and you're required to answer them. So what is your understanding of what DEI means?
Well, I think I would say, again, that I would go back to the EO to make sure I'm capturing enough. I don't feel comfortable saying a high level overview because it is such a big bucket and there's just a lot of pieces of the puzzle.
What's a part of the bucket?
Gender fluidity, sort of promoting
minorities,
promoting subsets of LGBTQ plus that might alienate another part of a community. Again, it was just easier for us to reference back into the EO.
Okay, so
And I don't want to give you a broad overview
Because you
because
don't know
it's like,
nothing about that shit,
the
boy.
other day,
Go
it
ahead,
is
man.
cap-
Stop the cap.
it is all encompassing in the
Man,
EO.
boy, y'all lucky I
How
ain't
we
got
did
my
our
little shit
methodology.
paid off, man.
right.
The clips would be
Do
dropping
you
right now.
always refer to EOs to gain an understanding of words used in your typical daily vernacular?
Objection.
What do you mean?
You say that you have an understanding of what DEI means, and when I ask you, you say you need to reference the EO. Do you need to reference EOs to define every word you use in your everyday life?
Objection.
No.
Okay, so what's stopping you from defining DEI to your understanding as you sit here today on January 28th, 2026?
It wouldn't be capturing enough of how big the topic is. DEI is a very broad structure.
Broad structuring the E, man.
Dad, can you put a movie on?
Sure.
Broad structure indeed. Very broad. So broad you can't even define it. Can't even tell you what it is without referencing something that you couldn't even bring to the deposition so you can have something to reference. You know what I'm saying? When you were asked certain questions, right? That's why I say, man, it's a trickery behind the facts and shit, man. It's like, we'd rather not, you know what I'm saying, be straightforward and upcoming with how we feel about shit, what we doing about shit. What's up with it, Joe? I'm just checking out some of that Doge guy, one of those people that they had doing the disposition, man. He was asked about defining DEI and he wouldn't define it and shit like that. I've heard that these videos are being suppressed by I don't know, some judge or some shit, man. I seen that somebody on YouTube talking about it. I ain't really looking to it because I was finna go live my damn self. So, but yeah, I was like, damn, that's interesting, man. We just really, you know what I'm saying, talking about how old shit, man, keep repeating itself, man, and people keep falling for the same trickery over and over and over again, man. And the shit just wild, bro. Shit wild to me. Don't understand it. Well, I ain't gonna say I don't understand it, but I don't see why it's so prevalent that a lot of the old shit that's done happened before is still being used on the people, and they're not peeping the game. You just don't get it out. Don't get it. But yeah, man, we're making this try to figure it out though. Trying to figure it out. So as I showed my video, showed the video that I made again. I'll show it again real quick, just to give my boy Joe a reference point to go by. You know what I'm saying? Cause I'm going to show my history. But the main point is that we just talking about how old shit just keep repeating itself, man, and that shit kind of crazy. I was talking about how around the time that I was making a video about a couple years ago, or maybe about last year. I made this video last year, and how this time is it's like it's kind of parallel to an older time in like the 1890s or 1870s to the 1890s, and how, you know what I'm saying, income inequality, corruption, all type of shit was at an all-time high. So yeah, I think that shit is something that you know what I'm saying, definitely gotta check out and look into, man, and peep the game of how some old shit, man, get repeated, bro, over and over again. Man, businesses been running this shit since way, way back. big business money, bro. What you can go and acquire in capital matters way more than what you do in a political realm. You know what I'm saying? The politics gonna follow the money. They're not gonna follow the people, man. And they done prove that shit over and over and over again. So the only way to get politics right is to separate the money from politics. Take it back to the people. Give it back to the people. But the people got to be willing to fight for that shit, man. Well, we're going to play this video again real quick.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio's whirlwind tour of Latin America. A potentially unprecedented offer from the president of El Salvador.
He has agreed to accept for deportation any illegal alien in the United States who is a criminal from any nationality, be they MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, and house them in his jails.
President Nayib Bukele revealing more in a post on X, offering the U.S., quote, the opportunity to outsource part of its prison system in exchange for a fee. And it's not just for people who are in the U.S. illegally.
He has offered to house in his jails dangerous American criminals in custody in our country, including those of U.S. citizenship and legal residence. No country's ever made an offer of friendship such as this.
But that offer, Biden called prison conditions in the country harsh and life-threatening. But President Trump tonight doubling down on his willingness to consider the offer.
It's no different than a prison system, except it would be a lot less expensive, and it would be a great deterrent. Send them to other countries.
This Trump, bro. Like I say, I'm not surprised, but it's like the audacity of the 34-time convicted felon. Oh, it was.
So first, I mean, my problem was, man, how in the hell you gonna say it's not the same? I mean, it's the same as a prison system. I mean, it's a prison system, all right, but it's not our prison system. You sending somebody that's an American citizen to a whole nother country. That's some wild shit, bro. That's wild shit in itself, man. Then Marco Rubio, man, it was a kind gesture to take y'all prisoners and make y'all pay for that shit. It's not a kind gesture. That shit wild. That shit is wild. And all they saying is that we don't have to pay the cost of housing, which is even wilder. Because, I mean, you know what I'm saying? You want to have a clean streets and shit, what you going to do? Like, it's not humane to just get rid of motherfuckers because they're an inmate. Most people that's locked up just in there for drug charges. That's a lot of people that could be, you know what I'm saying, put into a system that, man, like, you got to just peep the game, man. You know what I'm saying? It might start with, like, okay, an immigrant or a violent criminal. The next thing you know, you got a lot of people in here getting locked up for petty crimes with high sentences again and shit like that, man. Easy way to get rid of people, man. And you got people around the world, especially in South America, supposedly that's ready to take you in, put you in our jail where shit, it's probably a lot more roguish than a fucking American prison. An American prison is fucking bad. According to a lot of people, I know them been through the prison system, especially Texas penal system. Well, let's continue.
All a hoax. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the justice system could be so up and corrupt towards Trump, why don't we think about that toward the people that's locked up now? Oh, those people are murderers. Those people are this, that, and the third. I just can't. I can't with you people, man. You know what I'm saying? 50% of the murders unsolved in this country. You know what I'm saying? I bet you
it's hypocrisy before I even let myself continue. It's hypocrisy, nigga. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna sit here and see, oh man, Donald Trump is being done wrong by the system, but you don't see all these damn black people and Hispanic people and other white people, for that matter, man, being done dirty by the system, man, and nobody give a fuck about it. Nobody give two fucks about that shit. Don't give two fucks about that shit, man. That shit weak as hell, man. You're not for the people. You for the profit, man. And most of these motherfuckers is. Let's be real. Most of these motherfuckers is, man. But that shit gonna change one day, man. So some real ones gonna rise up, man. Say, it's cause talking. Ain't telling the police what's going on in the streets. All right, man. And white people is, man. Like, and what's so sad about it is that white people love thug culture, thug behavior. Because that's what you elected. That's what you elected, man. At the end of the day, you elected a thug in chief, like Jasmine Crockett said, man. Y'all elected a thug in chief, and y'all cool with that. Y'all cool with that. Long as it wasn't, man. Lord forbid we had the promiscuity of supposed Kamala Harris, or the incompetency of supposed Kamala Harris. Yeah, we're cool with all that when Trump do it. You know what I'm saying? The incompetency. The man really believes that he can control Greenland when he could just make another state whenever he wants to. He can send Americans in jail in another country whenever he wants to.
What President Trump said yesterday is an acknowledgement of the following. Gaza has been severely damaged. If you look at the aerial imagery, you see what's happening. The billions of dollars that are going to be required for reconstruction are enormous. Some areas have been rendered unlivable now and for the foreseeable future. And so what President Trump announced yesterday is the offer, the willingness of the United States to become responsible for the reconstruction of that area. And while you are rebuilding, while you're clearing debris, by the way, there are unexploded munitions. There are all kinds of Hamas weaponry still buried underground. For people to be able to live in a place safely,
Man, ain't nobody doing nothing for free. That's one thing you always got to remember. Ain't nobody doing nothing for free. That nigga think that he gonna come over to Gaza and start doing shit. And you know what I'm saying? And that people ain't gonna see that they just, like we losing more of our land. America now, we carving out a piece of it. That shit ain't, man. These motherfuckers think they slick. This is globalism at its finest, man. But I'm gonna let them continue, man.
all that has to be removed. It's an enormous undertaking. And the only thing President Trump has done very generously, in my view, is offer the United States willingness to step in, clear the debris, clean the place up from all the destruction that's on the ground, clean it up of all these unexploded munitions. And in the meantime, the people living there will not be able, the people who call that home will not be able to live there while you have crews coming in and removing debris, while you have munitions being removed, etc.
And all this spinning they doing to try to make Trump's words more palatable to the American people, but they gonna get dizzy as hell. Trump wouldn't use words like take over, use words like turn over, use words like control, if he wanted to just help Gaza. But again, this is not even a America first problem, is it?
No, it's not.
And in a bold move, Trump decides to impose sanctions on the International Criminal Court over investigations of Israel. But Israel is not alone, are they?
So did y'all know that the U.S. was found guilty for...
This is complete arrogance. Nothing will be done to hold Israel or Trump accountable until we have people competent enough in these UN, in these international courts, to hold America accountable for the that they do and they allow. Look at this. This is 70% of their land destroyed. So what? America can rebuild some resorts on the Gaza Strip? No, I wasn't lying, man. Trump really on that, man. And the sad part about it is that he thinks he's completely justified. And what's even crazier is that people justify this every day, even though their own privacy is being violated in the process. But as long as we got rid of that DEI, right? But I think this time right now really compares to a time back in the day where corruption was at an all-time high. And man, those robber barons got us for everything we was worth.
The developing tech space is drawing parallels in the minds of some to the Gilded Age. That term, Gilded Age, coined by Mark Twain in a very famous novel. It refers to a period of time from the late 19th to early 20th century where the United States saw, among other things, rapid industrialization, economic growth, and those things intertwined with political corruption and wealth inequality. H.W. Brands joins me now. He is a historian and author of several books, including a great one, American Colossus, The Triumph of Capitalism, 1865 to 1900. Bill, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Is this a second Gilded Age in American history?
It is a second Gilded Age. There are a lot of similarities. So there's rapidly changing technology. There's a growth in wealth inequality and the emergence of a class of extremely rich people. There are some differences, though. And the differences reflect a couple of things. One is that the government of the United States is very much larger today than it was back then. So there was very much less interest on the part of the oligarchs of the day to lobby government. They weren't looking for government contracts the way the oligarchs today are. And political influence was concentrated in Congress then rather than in the executive. So there was nothing like what we saw on the inauguration day, where there are several of the wealthiest men in America lined up right behind the president while he's taking his inaugural oath. There was nothing like that. If anything, they would have focused their efforts on the Senate, especially, and the House of Representatives.
I want to play you.
Well, if this Gilded Age is going to be anything like the last Gilded Age, massive corruption and wealth gap disparities are just going to happen at a rate that we're not going to even imagine. And the racial tensions, oh man. See, not only did this time create tycoons such as Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, Vanderbilt, J.P. Morgan, but there was also something coinciding with this time that a lot of people try to erase over and forget, and that was the Great Nadir, or the nadir of race relations, or what we know it here in America as the beginning of the Jim Crow South. Though black codes go back as early as 1724 with the Christian black codes, they became very influential during the time right after Reconstruction, all the way up until the 1940s. Though we'll never truly know how many lynchings happened in that beginning of the Gilded Age and Jim Crow era, we do know that the worst was yet to come. And probably the worst was actually during progressive era politics. And that's why I'll forever say that Woodrow Wilson is still probably one of the worst presidents we ever had. Even worse than Reagan or Nixon or Trump. And today it's not much different. Right now, we have Trump, Vance. And the point is, man, the politics really be the same, man. Exploit the, you know what I'm saying, the weakest, or what they perceive to be the weakest and the most vulnerable groups. Put people with money in tougher, dire situations so maybe they can die off.
You know what I'm saying? Because they're not going to just go out and do riots and Ku Klux Klan niggas no more. Now they might just sneak out, kidnap 1 or 2 people every once in a while type shit. A little different now. Everything got to be covert. Because overtness, you know what I'm saying, will spark out outrage. So you got to be a little bit ambiguous. But you see, with those, they wasn't being ambiguous at all. They little group chat leaked out, man. Why is all these people in the group chats talking about racist shit? All these people, young Republicans and shit like that, bro, out here doing all this shit in some damn group chats. What's up with that? What's up with the group chat? Y'all can see me when I'm in group chat, man. We talking about some, I don't know, money, some women or something. And we ain't talking about no race. We ain't talking about white folks. Not even, we might be talking about black people. We ain't talking about black people in the sense that they black and we're talking about them. We talking about other black people that we happen to be cool with and fuck with and some shit like that, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Might even talk about some white people that we cool with and shit, but it's not like, some race shit. We don't hate this, I ain't hate that, at least not in my group chats. With my partners and shit. We living life, nigga. You mean you good, brother? Yeah, I'm good. My kinfolk, man. You good, man? What y'all on? Oh yeah. I'm on this right here. Like we just checking in and tapping in with each other, man. Y'all niggas get in group chats to talk about folks that y'all don't even see. Fuck is that? But like I say, we stuck in our ways, man. We stuck in so many ways. Everybody's black folks, and then we got our ways, man. See black folks, man, trying to still, you know what I'm saying, keep themselves divided from the world, man. Mad at the world, man. Why the world mad at us? But man, we're gonna keep on pushing. We're gonna push through and keep on doing our thing and try to figure our way to the top, man. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna happen. But let's let the video continue, man. Well, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna stop sharing this and I'm gonna play this other video, man, coming up in a minute, man. Shit, I've been gone on y'all there, man. I ain't realized it, but yeah, I'm back. Like a 4 flat on a Cadillac, man. Trying to get this shit in, man. Get to the pepperoni, man. I know there's a lot of Mo 3 content out there right now, but we ain't talking about Mo 3, man. Man, I don't know what's going on, but I know it's getting strong. The bullshit gonna come along real soon. Just know that. Just know that. But yeah, man, I'm on the rights to this video, man. We're gonna be watching Mr. Beat, man. He's gonna be talking about the similarities of the 2020s in the 1890s, which is what I was talking about in my other video. It's a more recent video, I want to say. Let me see when this came out. A month ago. So I want to say mine was last year sometime. So I like to see what he points out, because I mean I didn't point out any specifics, man. And Mr. Beat get down to the nitty gritty, get you the, you know what I'm saying, the history, man. You gotta fuss with Mr. Beat, man. He a real white boy, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm saying he cool to me. I fuss with him. Fuck with Mr. Beat, man. I don't know about Mr. Beast, man. I ain't never really watched that guy, but Mr. Beat, yeah, that's a real OG history guy.
Empire. I mean, the 1890s. You see, it often feels like I'm not living in the 2020s. It feels like I'm watching the 2020s from the 1890s. Some argue that the 2020s feel like the 1960s, a decade of protests, political violence, dramatic cultural change, and generational conflict. Others argue that the 2020s feel more like the 1850s, another time of polarization that saw political violence, the collapse of institutions, and two sides that absolutely refused to compromise and even viewed the other side as existential threats. In this video, I'm going to argue that the 2020s are actually...
You know, history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme.
I know that, Philip.
Take the 1890s, for example, a time of extreme wealth inequality.
Well, I was going to say that.
Wealthy industrialists amassed vast fortunes, while workers struggled with low wages and instability.
Wait, now this is a Mr. Beat video, okay?
Wealth concentration reached historic heights.
Oh no! My legs are cut off!
Are you okay?
I'm okay, it's just a green screen effect. I had to get your attention somehow, though. You weren't paying attention to me. You were such in the zone.
Right. Sorry about that. Wait, how did I get into a Mr. Beat video anyway?
I don't know, man. Maybe a glitch in the Matrix? Regardless of how you got here, it's cool you're here. I'm going to have you stick around if you don't mind.
Cool.
But if you want to let me set up the introduction.
Sure thing. Industrial titans like John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie.
Philip, I'll let you know when you can jump in, but just let me.
Okay, sure.
Okay. And then maybe I can jump into a spectacles video? Huh?
Think about it.
Dang, bro. Well, in this video, I'm going to argue that the 2020s are most like the 1890s, at least here in the United States. And here are 12 reasons why. In the early 1890s, Americans were going through its worst economic crisis yet, the Great Depression. No, not that Great Depression, the OG Great Depression, which we had to change the name of in history textbooks since, you know, the Great Depression kind of surpassed it. We call it the Long Depression because it was really long, the longest depression in American history. Again, economists are not that creative when it comes to naming recessions and depressions. Anyway, Americans, as humans tend to do, looked for scapegoats, people to blame for their misery. And the low-hanging fruit, sadly, was already marginalized communities. The usual suspects: immigrants, African Americans, Native Americans. For the first time, the federal government passed laws restricting immigration. Racist laws like the Chinese Exclusion Act, Jim Crow laws, or state and local laws that enforced racial segregation, mostly in southern states, were very common by the 1890s. In 1896, the Supreme Court even upheld this racial segregation. By the 1890s, Americans had stolen nearly all Native American land. But they didn't stop there. On December 29th, 1890, in what became known as the Wounded Knee Massacre, U.S. Army troops murdered hundreds of Lakota civilians at Wounded Knee Creek in South Dakota. The federal government even had the audacity to award some of the soldiers who murdered civilians medals of honor. Well, here in the 2020s, after decades of people trying to get those medals of honor revoked, now we literally have the Secretary of Defense saying,
"Under my direction, we're making it clear without hesitation that the soldiers who fought in the Battle of Wounded Knee in 1890 will keep their medals. And we're making it clear that they deserve those medals."
This is a reflection of a much bigger reactionary trend currently happening, not just in the United States, but around the entire world. As the economy has gotten worse.
Keep the game. As the economy's gotten worse, people's need to find a reason has gotten worse and more dire. And now, shit, it's easy to plant seeds like, hey, those blacks in the inner city, you know what I'm saying, they're shooting each other up and they're going to kill you on the bus stop with some bullshit. Be brave. You know what I'm saying? A lot of you other motherfuckers out there, shit, y'all, that's how y'all feel. Because, you know what I'm saying, you've been you've been drinking the Kool-Aid this whole time, man. And I can't convince you, but just know this has all been done before. We all a part of the same old bullshit. But y'all gonna say, yo, black people always been this way and all that bullshit like that. You know, I already know. So let's continue.
First, in the 2020s, people have looked for scapegoats. Recent demographic shifts and social liberalism, combined with media hysteria, has made it easier to find such scapegoats. Immigrants, of course, are still the main scapegoat. There have been brutal immigrant takedowns, sometimes even of legal citizens. We've seen a backlash against the LGBT plus community, particularly the transgender community. We've seen a backlash against voting access expansion. Overall, though, people are increasingly rebelling against, quote, the establishment, or those who they view as the elites in power. The 1890s were peak second industrial revolution time, baby. Unlike the first industrial revolution of around 100 years prior, which revolved around a lot on textile manufacturing and steam power, the second industrial revolution revolved around electricity, steel production, and big-time advancements in communication technologies. All of a sudden, everything and everybody in the world were connected. And this dramatic technological change had a big impact on people psychologically, morally, and obviously economically. I mean, for the first time, you had telegraphs, telephones, light bulbs, motion pictures, mass circulation newspapers. People freaked out about this stuff when it first came out. Want an example of this? In 1891, after electricity was first installed at the White House, President Benjamin Harrison famously was terrified to touch light switches because he thought he'd get electrocuted. But overall, folks worried that all this new technology was corrupting the kids, destroying jobs, and they even were afraid it was overstimulating the public. Sound familiar? In the 2020s, similar concerns surround artificial intelligence, or AI, social media, and automation, all part of what some folks call the fourth industrial revolution. The third industrial revolution revolved around the shift from mechanical and analog to digital and micro, by the way. Anyway, in the 2020s, many people are freaking out that this new fourth industrial revolution is hurting kids' ability to socialize and be happy, shortening our attention spans, killing jobs, and leading to too much misinformation. Hey, speaking of which, due to all this new communication technology, the 1890s saw the first time misinformation quickly spread around the world. Thanks to the influence of dudes like William Randolph Hearst and Joseph Pulitzer, yellow journalism, or journalism that sensationalizes the truth to get the reader's attention, became huge. These newspapers fueled moral panics, exaggerated stories, and straight up just made up stuff. Most famously, they almost single-handedly created public support for the Spanish-American War. Hell yeah, imperialism is coming up later in this video. In the 2020s, social media and algorithm-driven platforms play a comparable role, quickly amplifying misleading or false claims because they generate clicks, shares, and engagement. In both the 1890s and 2020s, a new, fast-spreading form of media that rewarded speed of delivery and outrage over accuracy put people in two completely different realities. Hey, you want to
Peep the game. This is something I definitely didn't touch on in here. It's don't. I mean, I don't even think, I ain't, you know, he more likely to tie all that type of shit in. You know what I'm saying? This was a very well researched. You know what I'm saying? Video, but my thing was just to point out. You know what I'm saying? The parallel of the racial tensions heating up at the same time as economic desperation starts to kick back in the country. Because everything is all about the scapegoat right now. It's black people that's like, man, hey, the immigrants need to go because they taking black jobs, bro. We believe this shit. We really believe this shit. And the reason, it'd be a lot of misinformation at the end of the day. It'd be a lot of anecdotal coincidences, man, or whatever that might happen that make a motherfucker feel a certain type of way. That don't necessarily mean that immigrants are the problem. We gotta dig deep, find a real reason. Immigrants are incentivized to be here, and not just no government shit. It's bigger than the government. The government is just a piece of the puzzle. All of the money, always.
I know one way to fight back against misinformation by critically thinking. And I've got a book that inspires us to do just that. The book, man. Quite literally, the book. The ultimate guide to rebuilding civilization. Yeah, let's check it out. Starting with making a fire, which is pretty handy. I love the graphics in this. Edible and inedible plants. I feel like I just want to become a survivalist now. So, as you can see, it's visually stunning, high paper quality and binding, meant to last a millennia, not a decade. Sponsoring this video. First of all, when I say corporate consolidation, I'm talking about huge companies merging to form even bigger, huge companies, to a point where no matter what industry or market, there's just a handful of companies competing. And yep, the two most striking examples we see of corporate consolidation in American history happened in the 1890s and today. In the 2020s. By the 1890s, the United States had gone through very rapid industrialization. Railroads linked the national economy together, making it so companies were able to make more money by far than ever before. Companies got even bigger when turning to both horizontal and vertical integration in order to dominate markets. By the way, horizontal integration simply just means one company buys up its competition, while vertical integration simply just means one company owns the entire supply chain. This environment led to trust, or legal arrangements that let multiple companies operate under centralized control. Standard Oil alone controlled nearly 90% of the American oil refining capacity by the early 1890s, for crying out loud. The 1890s saw the peak of monopolies, or when one seller dominates a market. And the main problem with monopolies is that they can take advantage of their power by charging ridiculously high prices. Sound familiar? In the 2020s, advances in digital technology, data aggregation, and logistics have made it so that companies are making more money by far than ever before. Network effects, in which platforms become more valuable as more users join, created natural monopolies in parts of the economy like retail or entertainment. Meanwhile, decades of deregulation, lackluster antitrust enforcement, globalization, and the growing importance of finance in growing the economy have encouraged mergers and acquisitions across industries ranging from airlines to telecommunications to healthcare to agriculture. The result has been high concentration in many markets, leading to higher prices and lower quality of all kinds of goods and services. For example, some research has suggested that hospital mergers have caused price increases as high as 65% in recent years, despite a decline in quality of service.
But Mr. Beat, there's more.
Okay, now you can talk.
These big companies didn't just exercise outsized sway over prices and consumer choice, they also paid almost no taxes and had practically free reign over their industrial practices, which destroyed the environment, and their labor practices, which abused workers with short-term contracts in dangerous factories.
Well, that sounds familiar too.
And they were able to do all this because these companies were actually bigger than the government.
No way.
Yes way. Up to this point in American history, it was states who were responsible for regulating business. And now corporations were suddenly national, too big for states to handle, until politics went national with Teddy and Franklin Roosevelt.
And now
We have a similar problem. Corporations are now multinational, and they're just as hard to regulate as national corporations were in the 1890s.
It sounds like a real tricky situation.
It is. And we've got a whole video on it, which you should go watch, but only after you finish this one.
Saved yourself there. That's good. All right. And due to this corporate consolidation, a few people have become filthy. Filthy rich, I mean. In the 1890s, wealth inequality was out of control. The richest 1% of Americans controlled as much as 51% of the wealth. The poorest 50% of Americans probably controlled less than 1% of the wealth. Sound familiar?
Sound familiar?
In the 2020s, wealth inequality is once again near historic highs. Today, the richest 1% of Americans control at least 31% of the wealth. The poorest 50% of Americans control less than 3% of the wealth. Sure, that's not as bad as the 1890s, but at no other time in American history has wealth inequality been as bad as it is right now, other than the 1890s. And that's pretty wild.
It is, and we talk all about that too in our video.
Yeah, almost forgot you were standing there. Yeah,
I'm watching.
And a big reason why this corporate consolidation and extreme wealth inequality have both happened is because corrupt politicians have allowed it to happen. Heck, in some instances, they've even benefited from it happening. In the 1890s, political machines, or highly organized political organizations that often controlled cities or even entire regions, controlled votes and held on to power through a combination of loyalty and favors. You vote this way, you get money. But if you vote this way, you lose money. You vote this way, you gain a bunch of new friends. But if you vote this way, you gain a bunch of new enemies. In the 1890s, the spoils system, aka patronage, which basically said you should reward the people who got you elected, was still around, although on the decline. Overall, though, in the 1890s, it was still incredibly easy to bribe politicians if a corporation wanted to get a law passed. Or perhaps, more importantly, if they wanted to prevent a law from getting passed, they could just buy a politician by funding their campaign and then threatening to take away campaign funding if that politician didn't fall in line. Sound familiar? In the 2020s, corruption is back to 1890s levels, baby. Sure, bribery has always been a problem in Washington, D.C., but now it seems to be worse for various reasons. In the landmark case, Citizens United v. FEC, the Supreme Court ruled that laws restricting political spending by corporations and political organizations went against the First Amendment. Well, this decision has made it easier for corporations, super PACs, and just overall rich folks to spend lots of money to influence politicians. And due to this, they now have a huge influence over policy. Not only that, today we have the rampant practice of lobbyists and special interest employers hiring former politicians and government officials, thus causing politicians and government officials to be too nice to industries they hope to work for in the future. There's regulatory capture, in which regulatory agencies serve the interests of the industries they are supposed to regulate instead of, us. And thanks to President Donald Trump, the spoil system is back with a bang. He has clearly favored loyalists in his administration over actual experts, especially in his second term so far. There's also a lot of evidence that President Trump is making a lot of money off of his presidency. This ain't no secret. It's all out in the open, as symbolized by the oligarchs proudly sitting behind Trump at his second inauguration.
It's been clear that the president and his family have been profiting hugely during Mr. Trump's first year in office. But today, the New York Times editorial board published an estimate of just how much they've raked in over the past 12 months. By their accounting, it's at least $1.4 billion.
And of course, there's going to be a backlash to all of this. First of all, many people talk about populism these days, but few actually define it. So let's define it. Populism is a movement seeking to represent the interests of ordinary people and against the interest of the privileged elites. In the 1890s, populism skyrocketed into the mainstream, with farmers frustrated with railroad and bank monopolies uniting with city workers frustrated with industrial monopolies. They even formed the Populist Party, one of the most successful third parties in American political history, which had goals like government control over certain industries, getting rid of the gold standard, the expansion of democracy, and making the wealthy pay more in taxes. The populists of the 1890s called for social reforms and the end of political corruption. Quote, "The man who is employed for wages is as much a businessman as his employer," said the most famous populist of this time, William Jennings Bryan. Across the country, ordinary people rose up to fight back against the elites. Is that at least starting to sound familiar? In the 2020s, we have a new coalition of Americans completely fed up with concentrated power. They want more taxes on the wealthy. They are fed up with corporate welfare or financial aid provided by a government to corporations. The aforementioned President Donald Trump came to power through populist rhetoric, using phrases like "drain the swamp." On the other end of the political spectrum, Bernie Sanders has sounded a lot like William Jennings Bryan, criticizing corporate influence over politics and the concentration of power among the top 1%, while advocating for policies like wealth taxes on billionaires and Medicare for all. People who lean both to the left and right politically, this really does transcend political parties, have railed against the elites.
And that's why I disagree. Because that Republican shit, man, that shit just, you know what I'm saying, it's pander. It's a little bit of, no, we get it, we see the corruption, but they don't care when the corruption comes from Donald Trump. And we're seeing that in this administration. His approval rating has gone down, yet when it comes to the actual rhetoric of who would be the better choice, looking on hindsight, people still would say they'd rather go with Trump. A lot of people. And it's a reason behind that, man. Because you can't tell me that Kamala was the worst choice. You can't say that. We don't even know. Like Joe Biden, the last 4 years with Joe Biden was not this. Was not this, but I'm hearing people act like it was. That's all I'm saying.
In the 1890s, factory workers faced long hours, low wages, and freaking dangerous conditions, leading to massive strikes like the Homestead Strike of 1892, which saw violent conflict between workers and private security forces the Carnegie Steel Company hired, or the Pullman Strike of 1894, a labor conflict so big that it led to a nationwide boycott of Pullman Company trains. Union membership surged, and organizations like the American Federation of Labor became incredibly influential. After the rise of unions, and this really started to take off in the 1890s, citizens voted in politicians to fight back against these corporations exploiting American workers.
My bad, y'all. I'm gonna bring that back up.
In the 2020s, we still have a lot of those laws in place, fortunately, but unfortunately, a lot of other stuff has happened that has made worker conditions worse. Workers today face increasing job insecurity due to stuff I mentioned earlier, like automation, artificial intelligence, and corporate consolidation, but also stuff like the rise of gig work and stagnant wages relative to productivity. The 2020s has seen a dramatic rise in union membership after decades of decline. More importantly, there's been a dramatic rise of public approval of unions. Due to the aforementioned economic suffering of the time, people not only blamed immigrants, but they blamed owners.
Blame everybody but ourselves, man. Because, I mean, institutions are definitely a problem. You can say immigrants are a problem. You can say a lot of these shit is a problem. But the fact that we are not holding the people that are in power and accountable to the highest degree is the biggest problem. And we're not holding ourselves accountable for who we vote for or not vote for or whatever, nigga. Whatever we choose to not do as far as our political action or whatever we choose to do is in our political actions. And I just think that it's time to step up and say and let your voice be heard. Make that shit make sense, man. I'm gonna end it right here, man, because shit been a good one, man. But I gotta get back to it, man. I gotta get back to the fam life and all the other good shit, man. I'm sure I might be going live later on tonight, man. So y'all can catch me on that motherfucker. We gonna be getting it in. Talking about whatever the topic gonna be, man. But man, I appreciate my boy Joe for popping in and everybody else that popped in, man. Hopefully, man, y'all at least hit the like button because ain't nobody else comment. But man, appreciate everybody who popped in and anybody who will see this video later on and you know what I'm saying, catch me on the replay. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Salute to y'all, man. Have a lovely night, man.